Trippin. On this episode, we're going to visit Riverside campground at Bartlett Lake. It is 1:07 p.m. and 88 degrees. Are you ready? Let's start tripping. So we're coming down the road here up to Bartlett Lake. The lake is not full. Most of the time that I've come down here in the past 20 years, it is full. There have been a couple of times where we come down and it is low. We are in a drought. Thought we got a lot more snow up north with some runoff, but maybe not as much as I thought anyways. In Phoenix, we should start being a little more conservative with our water. You can see this is a nice place to go bike riding. I see bike riders out here a lot, or bicyclists. So sorry for the dirty window. Tell that water level is down. I don't know if I've seen it worse. I think I've seen it about this way. I don't think I've seen it much worse than this. This is one of two lakes that connect to each other right here. Bartlett, and then up north a little bit is Horseshoe. And they connect to the Verde River, and the Verde River starts just south of Paulden. Gets its snow runoff from those mountains up in there and heads south. And the river's where we're going. We're dropping back down to 30 miles an hour after 50 miles an hour. It is a little warm right now. It's 90 degrees outside at least. I recommend not going at the time of day that I go. In the afternoon like this, it does wear on you and wear on your car a little bit, unless you have a great car with great AC, but you're not supposed to use AC while you're climbing up the hills. So if you can go early in the morning or later in the afternoon, sunset around this time in April is 7 o'clock. So if you already have people up here, then it's okay to kind of arrive at night if you can drive well at night. But you don't want to be unpacking and setting up your camp in the dark, although I've done it many times. We are going to Riverside campground, which will be to our right. If you go to the left, you can go to North Lake Road. Left down here, when you come to the stop sign, it will take you to the Bartlett Flats, SB Cove, and Rattlesnake Cove. And if you go straight ahead, that should be the parking lot for the boat ramp and the marina, and then the marina store is a little bit to the right. And the only thing far right is the road to Riverside campground. Right now we have a truck spraying a lot of water on the side of the road. He is backing up. I will get the heck out of his way. Now they built this new marina store right here in the past couple of years, maybe a little bit longer. It used just to be like a little trailer. Now they built a nice little store there with a restaurant. There is a reserve spot here to my left. It's gated. You have to reserve it. It's nice. It goes down to the lake. When the lake's water is full, it's a real nice campsite to have. I'm guessing you reserve it for parties. I'm sure you have to pay. So we are going to Riverside campground, not the Bartlett Lake Marina. They do have dry docks here at the lake. You go that way, but we're going to go up this road, and it turns into a dirt road. Glass containers prohibited. No off-road vehicles. No 4x4s. No what do you call it? You can have a 4x4, but no quads or ATVs, stuff like that. Motorcycles. Kind of a quiet campground area. Little lizard crossing the road there. And once I get past this bumpy road, and this takes a little while because you have to go slow, and then I'll inform us once we get down to the one-way area. So coming down to Riverside campground along this road, you need to realize it is bumpy, so take it slow, especially if you're overloaded, pulling a trailer or something like that. You don't want to slide off the road. They keep it well maintained, but it is a dirt, rocky road, so it's going to get bumpy. And as you get down to the one-way area, there are a lot of river rocks there, so it will get very bumpy. But just so you know where you're going here, when you pull up to the bottom of the road is the dam up there, which is a neat looking dam. We'll go over some of the history of that a little bit later. One of the first of its kind. I don't know if you can see the water plume coming out there. It's kind of hard to see with the window and the reflections and everything. But don't let that gate fool you. That is not the way that we go. That is the SRP area. Government property, no trespassing past those fences. We make a little right and go down this road here. My phone's getting a little hot, so I'm gonna have to put it in the cooler to cool it down. I brought 3 coolers, one that I pack with just ice. That's my 6-7 day cooler that holds the ice, will hold most of it. When you pack the ice in there, make sure you don't pack it when your cooler's hot. Try to put some frozen bottles of water down at the bottom for a little bit, let it cool down on the inside. That way your ice doesn't melt on the way up here. It will take a toll on your ice if you put it in there while it's hot and it tries to adjust. You'll lose a bag or 2 easy. But with that 7-day cooler, we've been up here for 4 or 5 days, and it will hold the ice for the most part. We usually have to go up to the marina to get an extra bag or 2 because we use the ice in our drinks. But as you're coming down this dirt road here, you're going to come up to a one-way sign. I'm going to slow down right here and just turn to the left. There's the river out that way. You can go down that little road right there. You can camp down there. There are not designated campsites, but you can build some rocks around there. You know, contain your fire. You don't want it spreading out here amongst all this dry brush. And it is dry. We are in a drought. They say the fire danger is high. I would put it in the extreme. Be extra careful when you're coming down here. It does get windy, so you're going to want to keep an eye on your fire. Now the road splits up here. So we're heading into Riverside Campground. The road does split. To the right, used to be like an SRP house. I believe they tore the house down and just put up, just left the, what do they call it, cement slab there. I think the house is gone now. I forget what they used that house for. But you make a left. If you go up to the right, you'll come up to that cement pad area and you'll know stop, turn around, come back down. You should have a sign here telling you go left to Riverside Campground. But that road is just up the hill there on your right, so you'll be overlooking the campsites. Now you're coming down to this one-way sign here. You have hit Riverside Campground. You want to follow the one way, like I tell you. Up right in here is where the road gets a little rocky. So I'm going to put my phone away. I won't be able to film that well anyways. And I'll pull it out when we get to the campsite. Right now I'm going to put it in the cooler to cool it down. So just a little help as you're coming down this river. For those of you who have been down before coming down this road, you would notice there was little side entrances here off to the side where you could pull in and camp. You'd have to make your own fire. They didn't have the fire pits. Those are closed off. I don't know what that little power box is. That's always been there. But now they kind of raised up the road right there so you can't get your car in there and you can't camp in there. It's probably because of the fire danger with everything being so dry. And you would have to build your own fire. We'll come and take a look at the sign here. It says, make sure you put out your fire, put it out, every spark dead out, clean up your campsite, green forest stuff, be a good neighbor, be quiet. 14 days on the camping limit. You can be down here for 4 days. And so you used to be able to drive your car in there. You're not allowed to drive it anymore. It's overgrown. And up here, you'll see right there, you used to be able to drive your car in there and camp. Looks like they might have taken those camps down. There are people down here, which is odd in itself. But yeah, they closed that off. You can't camp there anymore. So we'll drive around here and see what's going on. You used to be able to pull in there. You still kind of can, but it's not good for your car. But here's where he starts the campsites. They didn't take my favorite one, so that's good. So there's one right there. You can pull in there and have that campsite. That looks like somebody's back there. They coned it up. They're going to be saving that one. Got a good campsite there. There's actually some people down here. I wasn't expecting anybody to be down here. Another campsite there. I think this is the one I usually take, so I'm going to snag it. See if I can pull in here. Yeah, this is the dusty path. Yeah, right over it. Somebody's got that campsite. There's 2 here. Which one do I want? I think it's this one. This is the one that we usually always take, so This is the one I'll be snagging. Somebody's got the big one on the other side. That's good. Get situated here real quick. It is 1:28 p.m., 92 degrees on April 18th, 2022. I have arrived. This is the normal campsite that we get. We have campsites down there, a couple campsites this way. We always take up these two campsites, but this one being one of our ones that we use the most. Now, normally when I get here, there wouldn't be anybody here, and I'd go search around for firewood. But since there are people here, I'm sure they already did that. This is the tree that Al Green hit his head on when he was chasing me. This is our normal spot right here, so I will take this one. Now, as per usual, I have brought way too much stuff, but that was kind of the point of this trip. Like I said in the pre-packing, I always took stuff for a group. So my camp box, I'm going to go through. I'm up here. That'll lighten the load. I didn't need that many chairs or tables. Can lighten the load that way. You only need one table. I didn't really need the tent. I just brought it up as kind of like a, remembrance tour that I'm doing down here of the stuff that I had down here. And like I said, if you're only coming down for 2 days, you can sleep in the car, wear the same clothes you're wearing, just have a small cooler like this. You don't need all that ice. You can get ice at the marina if you need it the next day, drive up there, get something to eat even, but if you're going to pack something like this, I would just fill it full of ice, pack what you're going to drink that day, fill it up the night, that night for the next day, whatever you're going to drink. I got cold water bottles down there and stuff, so you could just use a cooler like this. You could even just use a cooler like this for 2 days. Pack some sub sandwiches that you're going to eat if you don't want to cook anything, if you don't have to have a hot meal, if you don't have to have ice in your drink. I don't have to have ice in the drink, but I like to, so I come up here for comfortability. So I pack for comfortability. Big old tent, tables, chairs, stuff like that. Bud Lights I don't drink, but they've been in my refrigerator for a while, so I might have one while I'm up here. It's been a while. Some Dr. Pepper soda and frozen water. This will melt by the time I need it. So that's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to back my truck up to the table just so I can unload the heavy stuff. This is where my tent's going to be, so I will have to move my truck, but eventually I'll get set up to where I have my tent, my truck kind of close to each other with this picnic table. They do provide these benches down here, which are really nice. They are chained, so you can only move them so far, and the direction right here is pretty good. It's in the shade in between the two trees. This tree is always where I hang my shower with a tarp down there so my feet don't get dirty when you're showering. Something you want to think about. And then I would have this tree lined up with tools, all kinds of stuff. Midnight Bob would call this tree over here, we call this, I don't know if you've ever seen Conan the Barbarian, but this is called the Tree of Woe. That's what Midnight Bob named it. And if you found anything while you were up camping, and believe me, you'll find stuff up here, hooks, nails, simple stuff like that for fishing, but you'll find other stuff that people just drop behind, even kids' toys. We always put them in the nooks of these trees here. You can see they don't last. I'm sure people take them off when they find them. Kids come up here and go camping. They like the stuff that's on there, I'm sure. All throughout the night, this kind of stuff from these trees will fall in your tent. Don't let that freak you out. But when you get up here to your campsite, you'll see they have these designated pits. These are good pits, perfect for cooking. I freeze my hamburger patties, wrap them in foil, and I just throw them on there and cook them that way with a potato, maybe a can of corn. If I don't need my stove, if it gets too windy, I'll have to use the stove. I'm just going to give you a panorama of the area real quick. The dry grass is actually down, so that's pretty good. I was expecting more dead grass. It really is a beautiful area, but it can get hot. Now, I've never been up here when it's cold, and I might want to try that one time where the days are actually nice and the nights are really cold. Now, I have been up here in April where you've had to wear a jacket at night. I've been up here in April where it's hot, and I've been up here in April where it's chilly. Not cold though, just a nice breeze or something during the day. You can still wear shorts and a t-shirt. But I have noticed that the summers are starting earlier and lasting longer. So when we used to come up here at this time of year in April, it was nice and cool, hardly ever warm days, even a few sprinkles. Very rarely does it rain this time of year. So that's a panoramic shot of the campsite. let's take you down to the road and get a panoramic view. And then I'll start my unpacking. So they do have a little area there where you can recycle your fish hooks. They put these boulders up on the side of the road so you can't park down there anymore. You can camp down there. You can park your car in one of these little driveway areas or down there. And you can camp down there. Make sure, be careful where you're building your fires. There is a path down by the river you can take that goes along the river. If nobody's used it in a while, it will be crowded up with some foliage. As I turn here off in the distance down the road past the truck, you can kind of see the dam way back there. We'll get a closer shot of it. And when I finish this panorama here, you can kind of see the river through the trees. We'll definitely take you down there. Now down the road here on the curve is one of the best spots to go to the river in my opinion. It's where we used to go and wash up. The river kind of splits there, water, the rapids and stuff like that, but it's not that deep. So it's kind of nice. But one of the reasons when we first started coming here 20 some odd years ago, we used to love to come and camp over on this side of the road, because over on this side of the road you could walk down to the river, but all that foliage has grown up. You used to be able to fish right there where all that foliage is. Used to be able to go down there. We even set up a tent to camp, not to sleep in, just for when we were fishing to store our stuff. But all that foliage has grown up there and you cannot fish right there anymore. I'm gonna go check down the road down here and go right and see if the foliage has grown up down there. Back in 2019, you could still go down the road there and fish. So there's my campsite, the normal campsite that we use. And our biggest party we ever had here, we had every campsite on this side of the road taken up. Those campsites I showed you on the way in that were closed off, they were on the side of the road over there. There used to be campsites over there. They're not letting you camp over there now. There were 9 campsites, I'll count them on this side of the road. But it was a really great camp trip. We had the motorhome in the last camp spot going this way. And whoever went to bed early, the earliest, I mean, some people were going to bed at 8, 9 o'clock, the early risers, they would sleep on that side and they couldn't hear us all the way down here. That was the main campsite at the time. Actually, I think this was the main campsite. And this was up all night. You'd see these people up till 3 or 4 in the morning, myself included. Some people stayed up all night. I did that once or twice. And then as you went down the way here, it would be the people who went to sleep first would be down at the very end. They couldn't hear us partying all night, which was great. The motorhome helped block off the sound. And then the people who went to bed, around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, it started coming down the road this way. Now you could go to bed anytime you wanted, obviously. You're grown up, you can do that. But even if, say, you wanted to go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you could walk down that way. And once you get past that little area there, you couldn't hear anything down here. You might hear, loud laughter every once in a while, but I stayed down there, went down there. We would walk people home, obviously, that were drinking. We call it walking it home. To get them through there. You don't want snakes or something coming up on people, and it's dark, and they're drinking. You don't want them to get lost. So we would walk them down that way. And as we were going that way, we'd realize you couldn't really hear the camp over here. So that was great. That was one of the best camps we ever had. We had about 30 people down here, and we took up every single campsite along this way. Again, it would be, the bathrooms are right around that dead tree right there. You come up to this one, people would go to sleep over there who didn't mind the noise. That was like the main campsite where everybody was at playing poker on that. We had, something around that table for people to play poker, the main campfire. And this would be me and Midnight Bob's campsite, where we could kind of get off to the side of everybody. And then, like I said, if you wanted a little bit of peace and quiet, you went all the way down there. And then if the noise didn't bother you, you camp right here and stuff like that. So that's the story of that trip, which was an excellent stinger camping trip. They've all been good. We've rarely had any arguments or anything down here with all, that many people. They have gotten shorter over the years. Most of the people have passed on. The ones that are still living are, too old to be coming down here for a weekend or 3 or 4 days. There's still a couple of us left. I didn't call up that group this year. I kind of wanted to get away on my own, do a little remembrance tour down here and just have some peace and quiet to myself for a couple of days after Easter. So now I'm going to unload and organize. My tent will go right there, and I'll pick it back up once I get a little more organized here. So it is Tuesday, April 18th, 2022. 1:43 p.m. and it's 93 degrees out, the temperature says, but in the shade it's not too bad. It's actually, I don't think it's 93 even out in the sun a little bit. Bit of an overcast day with the clouds. But just coming in, I want to give you a little bit of a heads up on kind of things you need to do. So again, we know this area very well, where we would come and camp. We've been coming here for over 20 years. But even so, when you first get here, what you want to do is scout out your camp area. It's a little windy and dusty today, so excuse me for the allergies. But when you arrive, you want to scout out your camp area to make sure nothing was left behind that'll be in your way. Kind of look at the camp where you're parked, make sure there's no nails or holes or thick sand that you can't get out of. We did get a car that gets stuck one time, but since there's always enough of us here, we're able to get them out okay, no problem. This area right here is the deepest for the sand usually, right in the middle of, kind of separates all the campsites right in the middle here. But when you come out 2 years ago, or 2019 when I came here 3 years ago, I started walking this way and there was a rattlesnake crossing right there. So you have to be aware of your surroundings when you first get here. Check everything out. The wildlife you can expect out here are coyotes, bobcats, rattlesnakes, king snakes, other type of snakes, skunks, raccoons. There's probably a mountain lion somewhere over on that side. I've never seen the javelinas up here, but I'm sure they could be. There is a river down there, so all types of wildlife's gonna come through here. All types of birds to look at, insects, the flies and the ants. Now, there are red ants up here that I'll show you in a little bit, but they've never bothered us. Now, when you set up your camp, obviously you don't want to set them next to a hole, and their holes are very visible. You'll be able to see their holes on the ground. I'll come up to one here shortly, I'm sure, if I just start walking around. You know, be wary you are in their area. Try not to set your tent up right on top of an anthill or your chair or something like that. They will pretty much leave you alone. The 20 some odd years I come up here, I've never been bit, but we've always kind of looked for our surroundings. Here you can see the fresh dug sand out of the ground. So you know those are probably some manholes. I don't see them. There they are, coming out now. I'll see if I can get a close up on them. You can see they're just working away, no reason to bother them. We've even put a little food there to keep them busy so they don't go wandering around the campsite. I'm sure they can be aggressive if you screw with them. Just don't screw with them. Again, I've never been bit. I'm sure maybe somebody has at some point in time up here, but I've never really heard about it. There are bees up here. There was one year where they were really bad. I mean, they were everywhere up here, but they didn't bother us. Don't leave open sodas laying around. The wind blows up dust up here, so you're going to want a cup with a lid, secure lid on it to close it anyways. I have my trash that I just got automatically set up a trash bag. You're going to start filling that thing up with trash when you start opening stuff, unpackaging stuff. So have that ready to go. Make sure you seal it, close it. They do have a dumpster at the end of the road down here on the left, down by the bathrooms. We take our trash down every night. That way we don't have the animals going through it. You want to keep your food locked up in your car or locked up in some type of a tote, but even that is iffy. We had a bear at Mount Lemon down in Tucson that actually opened up our cooler, was well aware of how to do that. So we keep all our food in the car. So right now I have the car unloaded. I went ahead and kind of walked around, checked out, make sure there was no snakes in the area, just kind of hibernating by a tree or something. You know, I don't go out in that area too much anyways. At night, the skunks, the raccoons, there were some feral cats up here. You can kind of see the telephone poles there. That's where that house was. And, you know, I think he had a couple cats maybe, but there used to be a couple feral cats that came down here. They will come into your campsite at night. They don't really bother you. They're just looking for something to eat. But you never know if one's rabid or having a bad day. So we just kind of leave them alone, let them do their thing. There are iguanas down here, real big iguanas. My soda just tipped over from the wind. And Dr. Pepper's like gold down here. So I will be getting even with the wind here. No, my poor Dr. Pepper. It's always good to refresh one anyways. So I'll take care of that in a little bit here. See, lid that closes, nice. That was a cardinal emblem on there, but it's been destroyed. But make sure you have your thing with a lid. The dust will get in your drink, and you want something that's going to hold that ice, especially on the 90-degree days. But I can tell you right now, it's kind of nice out. I guess if you were standing in the sun, you would be able to feel that it's 93, but even then it feels a slightly bit cooler. So what I've done is I've unpacked pretty much everything but my bedding, stuff that I didn't want to get dusty, my covers, my electronics, kept them out of the sun. They're all still in the car here. We'll take a look. This is my dry food container, so buns, canned corn, cookies, chips, stuff like that. This is all the sleeping attire and stuff that I just don't want to get dusty. Cleaned out the back here, we'll show you. Now, I didn't know this about the Honda Pilot. I usually drive the Toyota 4Runner. I have a 99 4Runner, which is the best car I've ever had. But it was starting to give me a little trouble after 260,000 miles and being in 1999, and we're in 2022. But I got this Honda Pilot for my sister. And those seats up there, they do not fold down like the 4Runners do. Instead, which I just found this out, but I wasn't planning to sleep here anyways, these seats fold up for a third row of seats. But I could fit back here on 2 nights. That would not bother me for 2 nights. I definitely want to get maybe some padding down here so it's not so hard. But, you know, you got a couple little drink holders. You could have your drink in here with you, put on a laptop, a DVD when you're going to bed if you have to have something to watch when you go to sleep. There's enough room I wouldn't be able to stretch out. I'm 6'3". I would not be able to stretch out in there. I'm a big guy. I would be able to fit curled up though, and you know, just watch the movie, enjoy it. The seats right there do push up. That would give you a little more room to kind of stretch out. But again, before you leave your house, make sure you know these things, because that would suck when you get here. But for 2 nights, that's actually not too bad. If I was doing a Friday and Saturday weekend with the crew, then that wouldn't be so bad. Put down some padding, some sheets, some blankets, pillows, plenty of pillows, laptop to watch a DVD on when you go to bed, and I'd be set right there for 2 nights. And actually, I packed a little less than I thought, but it's still a lot. Most of this stuff I'm probably not going to need, but it's always better to have it than, how does the saying go? It's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And after doing the tent camping for a while, this would be my next step here. You can see this guy pulling up with a trailer. That would be the next step. That's a nice Imagine trailer right there. I'd do one a little smaller for 1 or 2 people, unless, you know, you start getting a family, you got to go bigger. But what I did was I took everything out that I'm going to start setting up, and like I've told you before, you want to have the stuff that's ready to come out first. Your chair, so I could sit down and relax a little bit, unpack, relax, take it easy. That's the whole reason I'm up here. Pulled out my tent in case, you know, I need to set up my tent right away, but I don't. I got plenty of light. That is the next step though, is to set up the tent. This is my poop bucket with all the supplies in it. Some lighter fluid for the lantern, for the tiki torch, the radio that I just got, the stove. This is my zapper for the bugs. You will see flies up here, so bring one of them fly traps. They stink. You can put it off in the trees over there, and the flies will go to it. The one that smells like dead fish, it's nasty, but it does work. The flies do go to it. For the most part, at night you want to hang your lantern in a tree because the bugs will come, so hang it away from where you're going to sit, you know, around a campfire. Of course, you kind of want it at the table if you're doing poker. So what we did was we had a enclosed screen, and then we hung the lanterns from the top, and plenty of flashlights, so we were able to see, and we didn't get the bugs coming in that much. You know, a few that would sneak in here and there when people go out. But even for the most part, when we didn't have we just had a, what do you call it, an awning without the screens on it. As long as you hang the lantern up on top, they pretty much stay away from you. Watch out, make sure it doesn't get too hot. That melts your plastic. We had a bar underneath there that we were able to hang a hook from, so the heat wouldn't go up and melt the awning material up there. We usually did it over there. This would be mine and Bob's camp, like I tell you, and that would be our main campsite where everybody would, they could park over there. Somebody would park over there and camp. You'd have another tent underneath there, which is a nice spot because it provides a lot of shade. But right there, we'd put the awning up, no screened in, hang the lantern in there, hang a lantern from a tree there. Of course, we had a lantern hanging here at our campsite and here. And when you have that many people coming, everybody's got a lantern, so it's nice to have 5 or 6 lanterns between the 2 campsites. And the bugs will generally go to those. But if you have, this is the only thing bad about those headlamps. You have that headlamp on your head. Of course, the 2 main bad things, I guess I should tell you, is when you look at somebody, when you're talking to them, the light goes right in their eyes. It gets annoying. So you got to remember to turn that off. But the second thing is the bugs. If you're wearing a headlamp out there while you're doing stuff and that is the only light, the bugs will come to it. So be prepared for that. I only use the headlamp when I'm in the tent, or if we have the lanterns up, then I rarely have a problem with the bugs coming towards my face, but they will. You are out in the wild. There are insects out here. But again, out of the 20 years we've been coming here, never had a critter bother us. We had somebody sleeping outside where the skunk came by him and just smelled them and walked on. You know, he was here looking for food. He wasn't here to bother anybody. The guy was, I think this is the exact spot, to be honest with you, because we had Miss Angel was our, another one of our camp coordinators, one of the first ones to start this camp trip with me from the Stinger. And she'd parked the van here or over there, and she had a van that was loaded with everything that you need. If you needed something while you were camping, it was in that van. From safety pins to something, you know, out of the ordinary. And that's where I kind of got the idea, was from her, why I have my camp box. There's stuff in there just in case you need it. She did pass away on us last year, not due to COVID. She was up there in age. Angel was one of our great camp coordinators that started this camp trip with me back in the 90s. But that would be my camp box over there, where I kind of have the little stuff in case you need a safety pin, a clothespin, stuff like that. You know, compass, just stuff you take camping that you never really use. But it's nice to have in case you are sitting around thinking of something and you need it, right? We've all been there. So I've scouted the area. Right where my truck is where I'm going to set up my tent. That provides me the best shade. I've mapped out where the sun comes up. Here's the sun now, where it goes down. The afternoon, it will be sunny. It's nice right now. It's overcast, so we're getting some shade. It's absolutely beautiful. The wind blows up that dust. You got to keep your tent zipped up during the day. The wind blows that dust around, but it feels so good right now. If I had a wet towel around my neck, it would be perfect. So I might just do that, but actually I don't think that I need it right now. It's good. So right where the truck is where I'm going to set up the tent. Back a little ways, that'll be the campfire, and then I'll park my car right here. I know my way in and out in case there's an emergency. There has been fires up here before. One of them was a car that fell off the cliff and it caught fire, but it didn't start a brush fire where it spread. And then one that scared us, which wasn't actually a fire, is the guy that lived up here in the house was burning trash. But we could see the flames because it's right up on the hill there, like I said, where you see those telephone towers. So we could see flames coming up in the dark. You didn't know what it was. So you got to be weary. Even in this spot right here, there's a lot of grass. We had taken weed eaters down before and cut the grass when we knew we were having big parties, so nobody would start a fire. Now, battery operated weed eaters would be perfect for something like this, instead of having to smell the gas, which drives me nuts. But I just switched to an electric lawnmower and I love it. And it's a Ryobi, but I don't have a big lawn, so I didn't have to get anything too big. But I didn't have to smell the gas, and that was so nice. So we would take a weed eater and go through this, clean all this up in here. Maybe even down here, because snakes can hide in there. So you want to be wary. If you do come across a rattlesnake, just kind of stop, slowly start walking backwards. You know, don't run, don't chase it, don't try to be aggressive with it. He's just wanting to get on his way for the most part himself, so don't be too bothersome. Okay, so now that we got that done, I'm going to set up the tent. Got the firewood pile. I like to be organized and have a nice firewood pile, so I know how much I need for the last night. This is not a 4-night firewood pile. Tonight I'm not going to burn that much. Tomorrow night probably not that much. I'll save it for Thursday and Friday night. But we would have it 3 times that much wood coming up here for 4 nights. But midnight, Bob and I would start the fire at 7 o'clock, right when it started to get dark. And it would burn till 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, till the last person was going to bed, you know, and then that person would sit around the last hour and kind of put it out, make sure everything was put away. But that firewood will last me. I did not get a chance to go around search for firewood because people are here, so I'm assuming they already did. But if they leave, I will definitely go check that out. The lantern situation, I only have one lantern this year, so I'm going to hang it from a tree, again, away from the tent, so the bugs go to the lantern, not towards my tent. What I like to do, and I think I told you this before, is I take one of the Coleman fuels over there and I put it on the lantern, screw it in, 7 o'clock, light it up, let it burn all night. That way if I have to get up, you know, and I was doing this for the group also, but we have a lantern in every tree all the way down the campsites when we had that big group here that I was telling you about, 30 people. And there's 10 lanterns between each campsite, you know, more than that actually, because most people had 2 lanterns. So you had 10 to 20 lanterns hung up in the trees, and we'd light them at 7 o'clock and burn all through the night. If somebody had to get out and go to the bathroom, wanted to, you know, maybe get up and go get something to drink, get up and walk over to the party again or something, then they'd have plenty of light. They wouldn't trip over stuff. They'd be able to see where they're going. And the lanterns would burn from 7 a.m. to about 3 a.m. They don't start getting dim till about 1 or 2 a.m. and it gives you plenty of light till 3 or 4 in the morning. Go do your business, you know what I'm saying? You gotta do what you gotta do. And Midnight Bob taught me that idea, and it was perfect. And another reason for doing it is the next day, you're not 11 o'clock, you start drinking, or you start drinking earlier, of course, you're barbecuing and having a good time out here, but 11 o'clock when you've had a snoot full, 10 o'clock your lantern goes out and you gotta switch it. That's just no fun. You don't want to do stuff like that while you're camping. You want to enjoy the trip. You want to relax. It's a little more expensive, but there's 2 good reasons for doing it. That is a beautiful sight. I don't know if you can see it up there. See if I can zoom in here. But that white stuff, I'm told, I'm not an expert, but that white stuff hanging over the mountain up there off that cliff is owl poop, or eagle or hawk poop. I've heard both. So I've heard a ranger say it was from a hawk, but years ago I had another ranger tell me it was from an owl. So I don't know if there was an owl there and then the hawk took over, or if it's always been hawks or some type of other birds. But that is poop coming off the side of the mountain. So I'm told. I've never been up there. But you can kind of tell, let's see, I can't tell the way I'm looking at. So you go up here, you gotta cross the river, of course. But you cross the river, there's a road right there. See those towers? There's actually a road on the other side of the river, halfway up the mountain. But then you got a journey, and there's no road going up there to the top. But I love this ridge here. Reminds me of the Old West. And that's one of my favorite rocks to look at while I'm up here. There's all types of holes. And over here's a nice cave that I've always wanted to take a look at. Dig into that a little bit more later. So now I have my phone on. I did not turn off notifications or turn on airplane mode or anything to save battery life. It is a new phone, so the battery should last. I have extra power pods. If I notice it's draining battery too fast, I will do that. But I am, just a little tip, since it is in the 90s out here, I am keeping my phone in my little cooler. If I don't have any ice, I do have the frozen water bottles just to keep stuff kind of chilled. But I keep it in there, and then it doesn't get real hot and fade the screen on me like it's conserving power like it does when it gets too hot. So I've been doing that since a couple years ago, and it seems to work. I don't want it to drop down in there in case any water or anything is leaked, but it hasn't, so I keep it on the top and it cools it down. So just a little pro tip when you're out here camping. Now at some point tonight, I always try to keep this one cold, so I'll use the cold water bottles for a while, and that's my personal cooler, so I don't have to open this one that much. But at some point tonight, this ice is going to melt and get watery, so I'm going to transfer everything. It'll either be tonight or tomorrow night, depending on the ice holds up in this one by, say, 10 o'clock tonight. Transfer everything over to this one, drain the water. Now when I drain the water, what I do is I already have this filled up. I'm going to put this in my shower, and then I put the water that I drain from here and here into this. That is another little pro tip right there. So you're not, it's just a waste of water to put it in the ground when you can actually use it for something, washing your hands. And if there's excess, if I can't fill this up and there's more in here, then I'll pour it into the bowl where I wash my hands. Here's a big old hawk now. I think he's the vulture hawk is what they call him, but I'm not sure. I'm not a bird expert. I'd zoom in, but I can't really see the zoom in. He's a big guy. Big old wingspan on him. Let's see if he comes back around here. Yeah, there he is. He's just sailing in the breeze. He's probably hunting though. So, that wingspan on him is incredible. See if I can get in the open. Might be doing a little pattern here. He's already over here once. above that tree line. Got a beautiful wingspan on him. He just cast a shadow on me flying over me here. It looked like one of those, when you're dying in those Western movies and the hawk flies over you and you see the shadow. Gorgeous bird. He or she, I need to quit saying he. Woo! He's a big old bird. Okay, time to get back to work, Mike. Here we have a little quick setup. What it would be like for a single person on a two-nighter where they could just sleep in the back of their car. You can even sleep along the seats there if you wanted to. A little more comfortability. This is a little more wider for me. I don't need to sleep straight. I can kick my knees up. But, you know, I would have a couple pillows. I have one more there. I'd put all the pillows there, lean up there, have my feet up on here. Put a drink there, your snacks, whatever you need. I would have a laptop here when I'm going to bed and just kind of watch a movie before I go to bed on some of those nights that maybe I'm tired. Usually the first night I'm a little tired and I might go to bed around 2:30, put on a movie, fall asleep by 4:30. But that, you know, that's not a bad little setup right there. One person, maybe two, if you're not two big people like me. One person kind of comfortably could do it for 2 nights. So before I lose daylight, I'm going to show you here. These are the pillows and the comforters that go inside the tent. If you could have the extra 2 pillows, that wouldn't matter. But here's this roll mat. It's a Coleman Max. It's pretty old, but it still works. You unravel it here, you unhook it. And when you open this, it lets air in, and then you can lock it and then open it back up and roll it up and it'll let air out. But it gives you a little bit of cushion in case you have a roll bar in here. So if I were to sleep in here on the 2-night weekend, I could roll that out, have a sleeping bag, even extra covers, some extra pillows just to make it comfortable in there. And that'll work for a 2-night week. So I'm going to open this up and roll it out just so we can see. Right in that corner pretty good there. You want to make sure you're not on your lock here in the back of the truck. Get the sleeping bag set up just right. Put a couple pillows right there and right there to sleep on. Got an extra blanket if you need it, if you want to lay on top of the sleeping bag. Back out here and show you. And that's perfect. That's all you need for a 2-night weekend. Why go through the extra hassle of having to put up, but not only putting up, having to take down. And you cannot clean it here in the sand. When you take that tent down, you roll it up, put it in a trash bag or something, take it home, set it back up again and get all the dust out, or, you know, wrap it up. And I'll set it up with the nephews and nieces sometime during spring break, during fall. So I'll unravel it then and clean it out probably if I don't use it before then, which I usually don't during the summer. But there you have it. That is a perfect spot for 1 or 2 people to snuggle up in. Not 2 people my size. 2 small people can do it. 1 big person like me will get in there. 2-night weekend, no hassle. Kind of a good idea, a little pro tip there. So you either have to set that up and everything that goes in it, which I like for 4 nights, 5 nights. You want that extra privacy, extra space. But 2 nights, 1 to 3 nights, this is your best bet right here. Just a little something in the back, but crawling in. Now this doesn't have a handle on the inside, I don't think, to open it. It has the handle, but I don't think that's to open it. No. So you would have to either leave it unlatched, which might run down your battery, so you need to check, or if it has a power window, maybe. I don't think this one does on the back. Or you're gonna have to climb over one of those seats to get out in the morning. You can lock yourself in this way and climb in, but climbing out's a different story. But again, 1 to 2 nights, you don't want to carry a lot of stuff up. This is your best option. You wouldn't have to bring a tent. You probably still want to bring a chair so you could sit out by the campfire. But if you have this table here, which you know about Riverside Campground, I have this little chair here. I'll show you how that works. It sets up on the bench there. It's actually kind of comfortable. you really don't need it. But I like to sit around the campfire, so I would bring that extra chair and that table. You really don't need a table either, but I like to have a table. Now what Midnight would do is he would find a log that we were using and use it as a table. But I got too much crap that I brought with me, so I'd always have a table like that. But 2-night weekend, you really don't need that. You really don't need the chair unless you like to sit by the campfire, and that's kind of what you're here to do. If that's all you need for bedding, that's a 0-degree sleeping bag. If it's too hot, you sleep on top of it. You can bring an extra blanket just to have over you, or if it does get too chilly, you can kind of have it over you like a blanket and you don't zip yourself all the way up inside of it. You can't have a window cracked. I guess you kind of could at night, figure out which way the wind's going. The wind's going this way right now, so you couldn't have this cracked open. Dust will get in there. Even if you have the other one cracked open on the other side, it'll swirl, it'll come in on you. The dust will eat you alive out here. It'll get in everything. You can already see just from the driving. Of course, now driving, you're pushing the dirt up in the air, but it has covered the car. This is just the back window. We'll show you here. You can see the dust is there. It will get in your car. It will get in your tent. These poor people next to me, behind me, I don't know if you can see them, but they don't have their screen on their tent. The back door's open to their car. It's been real windy and dusty. There's gonna be a lot of dust everywhere. It's enough to ruin your trip when you have to dust everything off. Now, I usually shake my bed out every night while I'm up here anyways because of the bugs. There are spiders up here, there are ants. Sometimes they get into the tent. If you keep your tent doors shut at all times, they have a really great tent. I like the tent I have. It's getting old, but I used to have a tent that a buddy gave me where you could zip up the door like normal, but there was a pole that went in the door and you could unzip it and just use it for like a Velcro. It had Velcro on it that would keep it shut. For people that keep going in and out of their tent, it was perfect. You open it like a regular door and shut it. It was great. But you got to remember at nighttime to zip it up for the bugs, and during the daytime for, unfortunately, the dust and bugs and stuff like that. So we showed you that in there. That's a nice little setup. Again, you just open it up to go to bed. You jump on in there. You're great to go for 2 nights. Anything longer than that, you're probably going to want a tent. If you can handle that for 4 nights, more power to you. I like to have the tent for the daytime. I don't always want to be sitting out here. Sometimes I want to go in the daytime and clean. I like to be clean. I hate being dirty. You do get dirty out here. That's why I like to bring a shower. 2 nights, you wouldn't need all that stuff. You can handle it. But by the second night, I'm ready for a shower, get cleaned up, get this dust off me. And you can't fully get it off you. The dust stays on you while you're up here. You're going to shower twice when you get home, maybe even 3 times, just to get all the dirt off you. You'll notice it. Even though I shower up here, man, it just sticks to you. So next we're going to move the car. I showed you where you can sleep in there. Now I'm going to set up the bad boy here. This tent I've had for quite a while. It's been on the camp trips. I'm going to set that up and then I'll slowly start putting the stuff inside and we'll show you how it goes. Now I'm storing stuff in the car, but technically you could lay down on the seats right here all the way across. Just put some padding down, sleeping bag and a pillow. I think I'd be able to stretch out a little bit more back there because I'd have more width space instead of just length, but easy to get in and out of. Now in the 4Runner, I was able to lay down the seats. There was a roll bar in the middle, but I was able to fit a single air mattress in there, I believe. I don't think, it might have been a twin. I don't think it was a twin. I think it was a single, and it did go up on the wheelbase bars there, but not too bad. What I would do is I would put it in there, then fill it up so it was nice and tight. Worked out pretty good. So I did sleep in that car, the 4Runner, not that one, not the Honda, but I did sleep in the 4Runner once, maybe twice, having it up here. I know I slept in it where I would pack up everything Friday night and have it on the trailer, and then I would sleep in my car Saturday night. No, I'm sorry, I'd pack everything Saturday day, the tent and everything like that, and have that up on the picnic table ready to go, and then I would sleep in the 4Runner Saturday night. That way all I had to do was wake up, put the stuff in the car, and I didn't have to tear down a tent and get dirty and messy and then drive home. I was just throw 10 things into the car and I'm ready to go. So it's getting sunset now. The hawk is flying out. We'll give you a look at the sun going down over there. It's off the mountain. The mountain is not lit up right now like it was. So we are definitely losing sunlight out here. Now, 98% of the people that I've seen come up here are pretty good campers, but not everybody's a good camper. And sometimes, things blow away from you that you just don't see. Sometimes it's not your fault. It was an accident. But if you're up here, clean up after yourself, but not only clean up after yourself, clean up while you're up here. That's what we always did. we always made the campsite look better than when we arrived. We actually brought up rakes and shovels and kind of raked them out to clean up dead grass debris and stuff like that. There's my garbage can that you always have ready to go. But accidents happen. You don't want to blame, you know, probably didn't see it, but that can get stuck in wildlife. It can get stuck on you. That's what happened to me. Almost made me trip. No big deal. Just clean it up and throw it away if you see it. But as you can see, most people down here clean up trash. That is the only trash I've seen down here. And it's after Easter. Usually Easter weekend's pretty busy down here. We have come down here where, matter of fact, it was that year that we had the 30 people down here, which was kind of nice. And we filled up easily 10 to 15 big trash bags of trash that people left out here. 2 or 3 of those bags were cans. So we gave those to Angel and she was able to take them back and recycle them. So that wasn't too bad, cans and bottles and stuff. But you know, the other bags of trash. But it was nice that out of that big group of 30 people, 20, 30 people we had down here, I actually think it was more than 30 people if I really think about it and count, was that they were all willing to help. I mean, we're talking about, we went and picked up trash in this area down towards the river. We just cleaned up the whole site. We had weed eaters, like I said, cleaned up the grass along here, just to keep it down for fire hazards and stuff like that. Keep the snakes from sneaking up on you too much. But if you see trash, pick it up. They recommend putting a tarp down underneath your tent. I didn't ever do it. I always have a tarp out in front of the tent, or not always. I would usually put a tarp out in front of the tent. That would help control the dust going into the tent when people would walk in. But they recommend you put a tarp down. It helps keep things from poking through rocks, sticks, stuff like that you might not have seen. Gives you a little bit of insulation if it's cold. So if that's your thing, go ahead and put the tarp down. It's an old tent. I'm just going to put the tent down. So I'm going to clear out the area, clear out the rocks, look for stuff, and get it going on. Yay. Okay, I got my tent out. I'm going to roll it out, stake it down, start to put the poles in. I already got the poles made, ready to go. I like to do that first. Being organized always helps. Always makes it go a little bit simpler. Not that I don't make mistakes even when I'm organized, but less mistakes happen when you are. So the tent's rolled out, cleared off. We'll go over the camping stuff later. Wood pile's already set up, looking good. Poles are up, ready to go. We'll get this baby set up in no time. So I laid out the tent. I put in 3 stakes. This corner over here, the strap broke. I can't put a stake in here, but I can put 2 in here, 2 back here. And I laid it down. Now that's going to make it a little bit harder to put the poles in. Not so much because this is an older tent, it stretches. I didn't sew that in. I'm not too worried about it. I was planning on getting a new tent or upgrading eventually one day to a travel trailer. But if I'm going to upgrade to another tent, I just keep this one for the kids in the front yard. They love it. Play video games in there, put a table, TV, stuff like that when you're at home. But I got that staked down. I'll have to put a rock in that corner, which is fine. But once I stake these down, I'll stay where they are. Like I said, it makes it a little harder to put the poles in, but that is the next step to get the poles in. Now, inside the tent, since the kids do use it, inside the tent bag, I'm missing a couple stakes, which, voila, does anybody happen to have any extra tent stakes? And you would come over and see the camp coordinator and his camp box, and in this box somewhere are actually a bunch of camp stakes. It's kind of organized, so I should be able to find them kind of, there they are right there, the yellow, the metal ones. I'm going to go with some metal ones because I can just step on those and push them in the ground. I think I need 4, which I have plenty, but that's what the old camp box is for. We'll go through that a little later when it's not so windy. And you do want to stake it down. That's why I staked it down instead of putting the poles in first, because of the wind. And here is the bakery, as we like to call it. I'll leave it up to you as to guess why. I am not the one that named it. I believe it was little Timmy that named it the bakery on one of our big trips up here. But that's the reason I like to have this big tent is, A, I'm up here for a couple days, so comfortability. I want to be able to go inside, sit, relax, I don't usually nap, but lay down maybe. But another thing was, if it gets too windy like it is today, if it would have been any more windy than it is, starts to rain or sprinkle, I got to put the top on, make sure all the windows are closed so the dust doesn't get in. But if it would do any of that stuff, I could fit a bunch of people in here. I could put one of these, not this bench in here, but I would have long, what do they call them? Picnic tables, but banquet tables. Put a long one in there and you can get 7, 8 people in there to play a game of poker if you want to, or just to sit around. We had to do that one time. It got so windy up here. There was about 6 of us and we just brought our chairs in here. We didn't play any poker or anything, but we all sat in here comfortably. Now it would move the tent around. Once you get it tied down, not so bad. Things would flap, but when everybody's in there sitting, having a good time, having a couple drinks and talking, wind was maybe 3-4 hours of just pure blowing wind where the dust would get all over you and everything. So everything was locked up, put in cars and stuff like that. Nothing got dirty. everybody moved in there, the 6 of us that were here, 7 of us that were here, and it was perfect. You know, it was a nice little day. We sat and chat. You could get out and go to the bathroom and stuff like that, but you didn't want to be going in and out too much and bringing dust in. But, you know, with everything put away and nothing getting ruined and everything was organized, it wasn't that bad of a time at all. So that's why I like to have the big tent, especially when you're with a big group. But for 4 nights, I like to be able to have my bed in there, my bathroom in there, you know, a table where I can sit down and enjoy myself, a chair, make it kind of nice. So there is the bakery. We'll get one more good view at that here. I'll back up and show you the camp. Let's do that, switch it around here. So I'll move my car next to the side of my tent so I can get in and out of it. That's pretty much it, pretty nice. Fire pit right there. Tent's just far enough back. And you know, if you want to be extra safe, you can put your tent a little further back if you're a little nervous about fire sparks. I'm not going to have that big of a fire while I'm up here, so I didn't want to scoot it back too far. They do move these fire pits and tables, in case anybody's aware who's camped here before. They're around in the same area. Some are moved back pretty far. This one is in about the spot that it's usually at, but it's definitely been moved. And they replaced them one year with ones I really didn't care for. And it looks like, I think they went back to these. I think these were the real old ones. Whew, it is windy, but we got her up. You got to keep that rain fly on, especially when I have a netted ceiling like that. That dust will come in. It'll eventually get under there and come in anyways. Don't leave that door open too long. I just set up the tent so it's open. Windows are shut, that's good. I'll clean it out and start putting the stuff inside. The air mattresses probably first. And what we do, everything has a sleeve. The tent has a sleeve. The tent stakes have a sleeve. The tent poles have their own sleeve. Wind will blow that stuff away immediately. Put it in the tent bag itself, what you're not using. And the 2 chairs that I have, they also have sleeves in them. So I'm going to put them inside my tent bag and then keep the tent bag in the car. I don't have to worry about anything blowing away. It's even got my face red in the eyes, man. It's really gotten into my eyes, so I'm squinting, but I know about it, so I know what to do to avoid it. Hopefully this video will help you avoid it. Don't fight it. If you have to go sit in your car for a little while it's too dusty, drive up to the lake, to the marina, get something to eat, you can. I'm down here by myself. I don't like to leave my stuff down here by myself or down here without anybody watching it. But, you know, what are they going to take, really? But if it was too bad, I would drive up to the marina and get a hamburger or something. It's not something that you totally have to fight. And I like being down here. But I like woods camping. I think it's time to start going back up into the woods. You know, the cold nights where you really have to have that campfire. You have the campfire down here. It can get chilly, but you mostly have it down here for light, something for people to gather around. And if it does get chilly, you know, you can warm up by it. And that does get chilly at times, so it's nice to have. But this may be one of the last times I actually come down here and camp. Probably by myself, alone. The only time I did it was alone the past couple of years, maybe the 4 years right then and there. I would come down here by myself to secure the campsites, but then each day that follows, somebody else would come up. But most of those people are gone now, and most of the others are just too old to do it. There's only a couple of us left that could actually do 4 or 5 nights down here. Now up in the woods, I could probably do easily 4 or 5 nights. Wouldn't have a problem with it because you're not constantly fighting the elements. Unless it gets too cold, you know, you can get up there on a day that you think is going to be warm, a week that's, you know, usually warm, and it can be cold. So you have to prepare for that. And I haven't done woods camping in a while, so I would definitely have to research it. But the more you know down here, I already got the tent set up. I'll clean it up. Hopefully the wind starts dying down at sunset in another hour or two. And I won't have to fight the elements so hard tonight. But I'll mostly be in there tonight watching a movie and probably going to bed early. But we'll just give you a little shot of the camp here at 5 o'clock. The sun is hitting the mountains. It's beautiful. I got the shower up. This will get plenty of sunshine and actually give you hot water. It's kind of nice. Get a little hot shower by the 2nd or 3rd day before you head home. Get some of that dirt off. Also good for washing your hands. I usually set up a table. It's a little dirty right there. I might set it up over there, but a table to wash your hands at with a bowl, some soap, some water, stuff like that. But I'll put down a tarp right here. That helps keep your feet from getting dirty and tracking it in the tent while you're taking a shower. Run downhill and run off your tarp. But that's a nice little shower to have. I filled up usually I fill up the shower right there, and my 5-gallon portable water container. But I only filled up that this year. I put most of that into the shower. I have probably a gallon left in there, and then I'll get water from the cooler. So I always get water from the coolers, and that'll actually be cold water. When you're washing your face in the morning, it's nice, or in the afternoon. Get that cold water from the coolers. Takes the water out of your coolers and keeps your ice, helps your ice last longer. Got my little shower caddy here. I like to have that. I usually hang that on the tree when I'm taking a shower, but I don't have a tree area that's close. I think this one tree's missing a limb. Seems like a limb stuck out a little bit further where I could hang this from, but you know, you hang it on the tree, that way everything's accessible. So what I do is I take one of these little fold-up tables, I'll put it on the tarp right by me, take my shower, I'll have my stuff sitting on the table so it doesn't fall in the sand, your shampoo, soap, you know, your basic stuff just to get a quick clean. But it is a nice hot shower. You know, you take it right after sunset when it's a little cool and the wind's blowing on you, it's beautiful. Just wanted to share that with you. And this has been working out perfectly. Got the frozen water bottles that I put in there. It's keeping a couple sodas cold. Probably won't even end up drinking these. They've been at the house for so long, but just, you never know. Might get a mood for a beer. Haven't had one in quite a while. This grape juice. So this is just a day cooler, but for quick stuff. But it has been keeping the phone nice and cool, so the phone doesn't get hot. And you put it right in the cooler. It keeps it cold. Water doesn't get on it. You know, make sure the condensation from the water bottles don't get on it. But then you can just close it up. And then voila! So I just blew up my air mattresses. I had 2 old twin ones, and I bought 2 queens. Now, I've never bought the expensive air mattresses. I almost did this year. It was $70. It was a pretty nice one, pretty high up off the ground. Sue Cross had given me a big old, like those foldable collapsible chairs. She gave me a bed that did that, where you stick a queen size bed in a minute. It's up off the ground. It's beautiful. I didn't bring it this year. It was kind of heavy. I had so much stuff already packed in the car. But I use this pump. It's a quick fill pump. This is the one I keep inside my tent. Get a little look at it here. It takes 6C batteries, which is kind of a pain in the butt, but I hate dragging those air mattresses out of the tent, taking them to the car and pumping them up. But I do take them to the car to get pumped up the first time with a power cord one. You plug this into your old cigarette lighters if it still has one. That's something you got to look out for. The new cars, they might not have that, so you might have to get the newer pumps with the USB adapters. But this is a Intex quick fill pump. Wasn't that expensive, and it fills them up fast. So I like to have that at first, fill them up, give them a good amount of air in there, and then I keep the battery one in the tent for when I need to refill them. You will need to refill them. I'm going to go over this with you with air mattresses. Excuse me real quick. Air mattresses stretch, so don't think that it's leaking, but I always buy extra. So I have bought the 2 queens this year, one in case one of them didn't work, or it goes flat, or for whatever reason I have an extra one just in case. We use them a lot at the house with my nephews and nieces staying the night, so they get their use out of them. I have the 2 twins that I've had for a couple of years now, so I don't even know if they'll hold air. They might have a small leak in them. We'll find out. But what I do is I put the 2 twins on the bottom, the queen on top, and it gives me a little bit of leverage up off the ground. Don't think that your air mats are leaking. They're going to stretch. You're laying on them. They're stretching out. The weather is going to stretch them out. Tomorrow, after I sleep on these air mats, and I'll probably have to re-air them up again tonight. So what I do is I air them up in the car, put them in the tent. Later on tonight, I'll notice there's air out of them, or one that's leaking I'll get rid of. I'll have to put a little bit more air in them. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to have to fill them up again. I'll probably have to take them to the car to give them a good charge from the real powerful air pump here with the car plug-in, and then put it back in the tent. I'll probably have to do it the 3rd day. The weather stretches them, you stretch them. I'm a big guy, so I'm going to stretch them out. So just remember that about air mattresses. When you wake up in the morning and it's sunk in, it's probably not leaking, just probably needs to be refilled. It is 5:56 p.m. The sun has about an hour and a half before it sets there over that volcanic top-looking mountain over there, if you can see it. If the sun doesn't blur it out. Since I still have daylight left, you want to do something like this in the daylight. I have a nice Coleman lantern here. I have broken the globes before, so I like these cases. I actually like the cases that are solid. They're kind of square. They have a handle on them. They're solid all the way around it. If I see those again, I'll get 2 more of those and then give this one to somebody. But Coleman makes a pretty good lantern. Got the Coleman fuel and a set of new mantles that'll last me the whole trip on the lantern. Always bring new mantles with you. I always have extra in case somebody forgets. That's one of the things that goes in the camp box that people seem to forget a lot of are new mantles, especially when you're doing 2 to 3 lanterns per group. Midnight Bob and I, we'd have 3. Dave would come up, he'd have 2. There's 5 right there. Roger would have 1. There's 6. And that's just, the small group that comes up a little bit early. but let's get into it. So we took the lantern out. It's a good case. This little screw comes off the top. Okay, it's probably already off for a little while there, so the lid comes off. Put it out of the way. Take your globe off very carefully. Put it somewhere where it will not get damaged. And very carefully try and remove. I like these ones with the metal clips. I think I got the ones with the strings this time. But usually you can just squeeze these metal ones and they'll come right off if you get the right two. No, they're not gonna do it. These are old. No, came off. Woo, dispose of them properly into the garbage bin. You don't want anybody running around getting stuck with these metal prongs here. So we got it off. This has definitely been used. We have two new mantles right here. Coleman's Instaclip. Oh, it is an Instaclip. Good. Okay, we're gonna see if I can do this one-handed and in the wind. Here we go. Ooh. Get on there. Yep, easy peasy. That's why I like those little clips there. Perfect. So my mantles are on. They're ready to go. I'm gonna make this one a little tighter just by not by pushing them in and then twirling the wires there to make it a little bit tighter. Okay, I got both my mantles on. They're secure. This one has an automatic starter. I usually don't like to use automatic starters, but just to make sure everything's safe, even before you even get close to putting the fuel on, make sure that this is in the off position. Oops, excuse me, bug got me. And on this one, righty-tighty is off, so that is off. And then that would be turning it on. And I put it on full blast. Once I turn it on, I let it go all night and lasts about 6 hours on full blast, maybe more. So, turned it on to show you. So I'm gonna make sure, yeah, it's turned off all the way to the right. Sorry about my hands looking so nasty. They are definitely dry and cracked out here and dirty. So there's the lantern. Now we got to put the dome back on from our safe position here. We don't want to crack it into anything. No bugs or dust in it. So we slide that carefully doing it one-handed. It's not always the best option. Okay, I am a stickler, so I'm going to front face that Coleman logo right there by the on-off switch. Okay. Line up the headlamp here. Now the head of the lamp has two metal prongs on each side. One goes on the outside of the globe and one goes on the inside. You should be able to tell which one that is there. See that front one facing that's just hanging off there, and then the back one is, I can't do it with my pinky, right above my pinky there. So we're gonna put this on. Okay, I had to hand tighten it with both hands because I had to wiggle the lid a little bit. It's getting kind of old. There it is. I'll put the fuel on the bottom, make sure it's turned off when you put the fuel on, then we'll hang her up. Now that everything's built, ready to go in the lantern, we take off this cap right here, this top cap. It's a little rubber cap, so make sure you put it in the trash. And it's just a screw-on bottle of propane. Hold it with the left hand, turn it to the right with the right hand on the bottom there until it's sealed. You might hear a little psh or a pop. If this is turned on instead of off, this can blow out of your hands. It can spark and start a fire, so do be careful. We have had one pop out of somebody's hands once, but it didn't start a fire, but he was trying to plug it in while it was turned on, so it shot the air right through. There we go, it's all on, turned off, waiting for the sun to go down, then we'll turn on and light her up. I do stick the lighter up underneath here. I have one of those long lighters to do it. I don't like to use that starter because sometimes it doesn't work and you're sitting there with the fuel on. I'm afraid fuel's going to build up. I'm a nervous Nelly like that. Now, just some of the warnings during use. Use upright to prevent flare-ups or flashes. Never drop or throw cylinder. If torch sputters or flares up, turn cylinder upright and turn off torch. Vent area to remove unburned gas, slowly turn on. After hearing slight hiss, relight. Never use near pilot lights, flame sparks, and other ignition sources. They can ignite leaking gas. Ta-da! After use, turn off torch, let cool, detach when not in use. Detach outdoors away from pilot lights, flames, sparks, and other ignition sources. They can ignite leaking gas. Replace cap to keep valve clean if you're going to reuse it again. We don't reuse it. Do not extinguish. If there is a leaking gas fire, do not extinguish unless leak can be stopped safely. Eliminate all ignition sources if safe to do so. Let cylinder burn out. All right. Now, there is a place to recycle these. I'll try to find out where. I used to take them to somewhere. I don't want to say the wrong place and be wrong, so I'll have to try to remember. Midnight used to do all that for me, so I'm going to have to find out. Okay, we have the lantern hung up. It's in a safe spot. The green stuff won't bother it. The heat will escape. It's centered. We can turn it on and light it up. Give us plenty of light all night. You notice I got this rope on here. It's called mule tape. Everything's secure there. We're running around the tree. We put it high up so the bugs will come over to this area. But you'll notice this right here. I have a lot of mule tape and I can reach everything right here. But if we had it higher up in the tree, you'd want to be able to slide down and take care of everything next night. But right there's perfect. Actually, I might try to find a spot where, you know, if, with me it should be okay, but when you have a bunch of people here, you don't want people hitting their heads and you have to take that in consideration. So I might hang it up somewhere higher up there and let it hang like right about here somewhere off of these branches. But I don't feel like messing with it right now, but see, that's why I would need the extra rope. But hanging there would give us a lot of light, but that's perfect for now, for today. This is a must-have up here. Osprey, you want it with at least 25% DEET. I think this one has a little bit more, whatever it says right there. I don't have my glasses on. Is that 30%? Let's put the glasses on and look. 30% DEET. That's what you want for mosquitoes. But not only do I spray my clothes, I take that off and I spray my chair that's going to be outside. That keeps them from kind of swarming me. They'll still come around. It's not 100% defensive, but I'll spray the door area. Down here I might spray some Raid to keep the spiders out. But I'll spray up inside there with the off before I move in. Let it air out, of course. I don't want to be smelling it all night. But, you know, you spray it off around the perimeter of your tent. You're going to keep probably 80% of the bugs just from even coming around. So it is a must. It is 6:31 p.m., 92 degrees. I'm in the shade, it's awfully nice. I'm going to give you a panoramic view here as the sun is starting to set. It's got about another 5 minutes before, 5-10 minutes before it hits the mountain where it sets behind. And then another good half hour. Oops, sorry about that. I'll restart, but a good half hour before it actually sets and we won't have any light in the sky. There's the sun setting over there towards the west. There's the bakery all set up, the table's set up, the campfire's ready to go if I have a campfire tonight. And there's Moby. Down there at the very end you can see the dam. And these mountains have a lot of swirls on them. I like to see that. The mountain looks absolutely beautiful at dusk. Those rocks shining in the light up there. Swirls climbing up the mountain. Clouds whiskily passing by. It's a beautiful day at the river, folks. A beautiful day at the river. Verde River is a beautiful river. There's a lot of greenery down there, so be careful when you go down there for wildlife, especially if you're by yourself. Tomorrow, since unpacking took me so long, tomorrow we'll go down and take a look. But I'm going to do just a panorama without talking now. It is 6:47 p.m. So that's good to note. On April 18th, 6:47 p.m. is about when the sun's going to be setting, that you really need to make sure, hey, I got to have, if I'm going to have a fire, I need to make sure my stuff's organized, that I can get to it. I'm not searching for anything in the dark. I do have is the fire poker, which is inside, but I don't really need that to start the fire. I know I got the fire right there. I got a little bit of fluid over there, so I don't have to get up a bunch of scrap and stuff to get it going. I won't have to look for anything. The lighter's in my pocket. I got the flashlights ready to go right inside, that I can just grab it and go. I can go through my camp box tomorrow and show you that. I'll lay everything out on that table, give you the dimensions of the table, put down a tablecloth. I like to keep everything a little nice and clean. And I'll give you a backup view here of my campsite at dusk. So in a little over 5.5 hours, taking things very slowly, I'm talking extremely slow, we have set up the shower, filled it with water. Tomorrow afternoon, if I decide to take a shower, that shower will be hot. We've set up the bakery. It's a big old tent. You can fit a lot of people in there. We set up the wood and the campfire area with the chairs. We have set up the lantern in the tree. Make sure we have light. And the picnic table is not disorganized, but not, I don't like to have anything on it, so I'll move some of that stuff back to the car and lock it up. I don't know if I'm going to be keeping the coolers in the car. I think it's best to keep them in the shade underneath the table, because the cars can get hot and that'll melt your ice faster. That'll make the cooler work a little bit harder. I'm trying to back up to where I can get the lantern in the shot at the same time with the shower. So let me stumble here. I might edit this part out. Keep going. This is kind of one of the spots where midnight will go. Tomorrow I'll give you a tour of the campsites, show you where we were and which ones worked best for us. Of course, this one right here worked best for us because it's actually 2 campsites in one, and we would bring enough firewood to have both of these fire pits going for the weekend, for the Friday and Saturday. This one would go for Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when midnight and I got here, all night long. Thursday all night long. Then Friday they both go all night long. And then sometimes the people that would camp over here, they might even have their campfire going if they were the early to bed people. But right over here, Bard would park, Dave and his buddies would park. Midnight Bob would probably have his tent in here somewhere amongst the bushes. Provides a little bit of shade in the afternoon. Him and I both are night owls. We'll stay up all night and sleep in, so we need to make sure our tents have some shade in the morning and afternoon. And this is a big open spot where you don't get the shade. That campsite over there where you see that tree, they actually built rocks for a campfire because the pit is pulled back a ways. I don't know why, kind of close to the grass, but the picnic table's under the tree. That one, if you go back behind that picnic table and back a little bit, provides pretty good shade. And that's the one that's just in back of the sign up here that gives you the details. I'll probably show you that sign tomorrow. I think it has wildlife and plant life details on it. But that's just kind of an open area back there. You don't really get any shade in the afternoon. You get a little bit right there where they have their camp down there. You get some shade, and this one's pretty nice. So we would take up both these campsites. And midnight got me into, this is actually his, but he got me into bringing thermometers. And it is 85 degrees. Now, I don't know how accurate of a reading that is, probably pretty close within a couple of degrees, but this tree will release heat all night long, and that heat will transfer through, you know, bypass over this thermometer, so it's going to give you a little bit hotter of a reading. But it says 85 degrees. I like that. It's nice out. It's a beautiful evening out right here as the sun's going down. And once I start doing something else, we'll pick it right back up. Okay, what I did was I had 9 bags of ice in this big cooler, just the ice with some frozen bottles of water on the bottom. And then on this one, I had my food, most of it frozen bottles of water, and 1 bag of ice. And in this one, I just had what I was traveling with, and some cold bottles of water, frozen bottles of water. No ice in this one to keep this one cold. So what I did was I transferred probably what I'm going to use tonight, minus the beer bottles, but we'll keep them in there because there's really not much more room in the big one. I put a bag of ice that I'm going to use in my drink tonight, a couple cans of soda, a couple bottles of water. This one is now empty. I can put it in the car, no reason to have it out. It's already packed one less thing to worry about. If I need to go get ice, I can take that one with me. I probably shouldn't need to go get ice. There was a little bit of water condensation in this one. I was able to pour it into my 5-gallon water holder, and then this one only has a little bit of water in it, and the ice is held up pretty well. Let's take a look here. I did punch holes in all the bottoms of the bag so the water would come out, and eventually I could drain it into my container, which is under the table, but you can see it. I moved all the food over here and put some of the frozen water bottles on them. They're still frozen pretty good. And then the ice held up pretty good. That's still a bag of ice with very little condensation that came out of it. Maybe a cup of water total that's going to come out of that. I don't even think I'll get a cup of water out of it. But all my food's in there for the night. That can stay closed now. There's no reason to open that until tomorrow, except for when I'm hungry and want a bite to eat. If I make a sandwich tonight or a hamburger, hot dog, I'll definitely have to get in there. But this one, in the shade, it's nighttime. Ice isn't going anywhere. That's for night. This one I can put in the car and pack it up. Woo! Getting organized. The wind's calmed down. There's the camp. I don't have a fire yet. It's still a little breezy. Plus, I'll be going into my tent to set up, so why waste the firewood? Although, another good reason that we would always bring a lot of firewood and have the fire going is to keep the bugs away. They don't seem to like to go around that fire too much. Campsite's over there now. It's actually darker by my eyes than it is on the phone. I don't know how it's picking me up because I'm not looking. I could turn it around the phone, but too lazy to do that right now. Now I got to go inside and set up my tent. Whew. There's a lot of work that goes into it, so I'm going to have to start limiting that. Like I said, I'm not packing for a group of 10 anymore, unless I take my family out and show them what I've been doing out here all these years. Maybe one year I'll do that, but right now I'm just going to pack for one person. Maybe if I meet another person, I'll pack for 2. But I'm going to have to start slimming down what I take. Probably won't go up for 4 or 5 nights like I usually do. I'll just need the one cooler. I mean, I don't know if I'll probably always take the big one. That's a good cooler. So when you go camping for the weekend, you want to do as little as possible, pack as little as possible, take as little as possible, and then pack up as little as possible when you leave. It is so nice to be able to wake up Sunday after partying Saturday night, get a little breakfast, get some water in you, wake up, take an hour or two to enjoy the time that you had up here with everybody, then just get in the car and go home. You don't have to pack up a bunch of stuff to go home. And I tried to do that the night before anyways. It sure makes Sunday a lot easier on me. Then you're home back in Phoenix by 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you go get some lunch and then go home. Now, I like to unpack the car right when I get home. That way everything's dirty. I'm still dirty. I can get everything out of the car, put it in the front yard or something, dust it off, a little bit, take inside the important stuff, the electronics and stuff. And then I head right to the shower, and I take that nice hot shower. Now, I usually don't stop and get lunch. I'll usually go straight home, unpack, take that beautiful shower, and then I get to watch, like this year I just bought on Blu-ray Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm looking forward to watching that Saturday or Sunday night when I get home, maybe even Friday night. But I'm looking forward to watching that when I get home, maybe order pizza and some wings from Barrow's Pizza and just enjoy it and relax. And, it makes you really appreciate coming home. Now it is time for the fun part. The wind has died down. It's really kind of nice out here right now. This ambient light that this phone picks up is just amazing because I cannot see in that tree line over there. It is dark, but it definitely picks up a little more detail. I'll just do a little panorama before we go into the tent here. And with that lantern shining, you really pick up the detail in the camp. To the makers over at Apple, you guys did one hell of a job on this phone. Whoever developed the camera, the capture, it's all beautiful, just beautiful. And this is just me turning it on and hitting record. I haven't even gone into cinematic mode or light filters or anything yet. All the extra bells and whistles this phone will give you. But we're going to go into the tent right now, and the first thing I'm going to do is set up a table and chair so I have something to work with. Okay, I am in the tent. I just threw everything in here. That side's going to be the bathroom area. This is where the table will be, and the area I'm standing in now is where I'm going to put the bed. But you can tell we got a lot of room in here. I can actually stand up in the middle. It's got plenty of height, so I'll show you here in just a bit. Whew, okay, took a minute. Okay, we got my chair in here. I usually have a little bit longer of a banquet table, not one of the really big ones, although I've had that in here before. But one that's just a little bit longer than this one, but I went a little bit easier this year. This is a quick setup table. And then there's the air mattresses. The two twins are holding up air as of right now. I put the queen on top, so I probably won't have to air up that second queen mattress I bought if all goes well. There's still space behind there. That's where I'll put my backpack and stuff like that. Or under the table here, I will have a tablecloth on top of here. Now, right now, just to kind of put things out of the way and give me some room, I have the table up against the tent. You don't want to do that. I'm eventually going to want to pull the table away. I might even put it down at this end. Give me a little more room because this will blow against you and knock stuff down. So this year, I think I'll, instead of using the bathroom down here, putting the bathroom down there, I'll put the table. Let's try that out. First time putting the table down there. I have put it down there when I do the kids night, kids weekend. Put a table down there with the TV on it and the video games and form out in the yard. But camping, I've never put it down there. I've usually had an extra bed there for somebody, or that's where I would keep my toilet area. But that's a good little spot for the table right there and chair. Gives me room to sit. Right here is open area with a window I can open up. And then the bed. I do have more lights to put in here once I get it hung up. I don't know if you can see me or not. I'll try to do it with the light reflecting on me. But you can see I'm actually standing up. I got about an inch above my head left. I like that when I'm changing clothes and I'm all dry and finally got myself clean and a little bit of the dirt off. I can stand up in here and change clothes and not have to worry about the tent closing on me. So if I ever do get another tent, I'd rather get a travel trailer. Those are expensive. So if I want to go camping, I'll probably have to stick with the tent for a while. But I got to get a tent with at least a 7-foot height, 6.5 or higher, because I like having that middle space where I can, change, not be bothered. Switching back around, there's a nice little sitting area there. This tent gives you plenty of room. There's the air mattresses down there. You don't want to block your doorway. You want to get in and out. Now I do have it to where the wind might bang on the table a little bit, but I'll fix that as I go. I had it on Zoom. Sorry about that earlier. Here's a little pro tip before I forget about the air mattresses. When you're putting your air mattresses in, you want to make sure that the blowholes where you input the air is closest to the door. You don't want it down here. You want it at this end. That way, when you have to fill it up, if you have to take it out, or if you can stretch air hose there, you can get to it right there. You don't have to worry about moving a bunch of stuff. Don't put anything in front of that. You want to be able to get to it quickly without having to hassle with it and moving a bunch of stuff. Little pro tip there. Okay, now I have a couple little lights set up. So this one, which is actually, the camera picks it up better than the eyesight does, but that's one that I can hang up there. I have one or two of those types where you can hang it up in the middle and it'll shine a little bit of light down. Of course, you got the lantern outside, but I got a candle lit. Be very careful with candles in your tent, especially when it gets windy. Just blow it out. And this lantern here, and then these are the best, the headlights, since I'm going to be going through some backpacks and stuff. Turn that on. That really gives you some good light. Put it on your head. Your hands are free to use. It's perfect. Look at that light that gives off. Beautiful. Just a quick little look at my poop bucket that I made with the little floaty there. What do they call those things? Noodles for the swimming pool. Cut a hole down the middle. I was able to put it on the bucket, and then I taped that side and glued it down. Tape the edges there because that's where the edges meet. And then I have my plastic bags that you put in there. This hose and this funnel right here is actually my urinal. I have a hole that can go through my tent for an extension cord. I put that in to go out. Now I would use that when, we had a bunch of people. It would get cold. I wouldn't want to go outside at 2 a.m. in the morning to go to the bathroom, so I would just use that. But that is a neat idea for a urinal. Then I have the table here with your hand sanitizer, toilet paper, some Lysol spray, and baby wipes, or just the wipes. I love to have these. I got 2 packs, one for the bathroom and one for just cleaning hands and myself and stuff like that. My hygiene kit hangs up right by the table. And then down there, right below the hygiene kit, in the tent pocket, I put some of the Walmart type grocery bags, and then the bigger trash bags. And then some rubbing alcohol, peroxide, and aloe vera is just some extra stuff that would go with the first aid kit. And I'm working on my table now. And there you have it. There's my bathroom for the next 3 or 4 nights. I put the bag inside the can and of course looped over the edges around the bucket. And you sit on there to do your business. If you're gonna go number 1, you would put down some paper towels or maybe some, if you have some old cleaning rags at home that you don't want to use anymore, you're gonna get rid of. Bring them, put them at the bottom down there to kind of soak it up after you go to the bathroom. That is a 13-gallon kitchen trash bag. So it does get a little expensive each day, but each time I use the bathroom going number 2, that's what I'll use. Like I said, if you're gonna go number 1, if you have to, inside the tent, put some towels or old rags down there to help absorb it. Wrap it up as soon as you're done, take it outside, put it in the main trash can. Perfect. I am also using Glad trash bags with Febreze on them. So while it's sitting there waiting for me to do my duties in the morning, it's got a good smell to it that helps, you know, make the tent smell a little bit better, along with my candle over here. Whatcha? But that is my number 2 spot for the next 3 nights. Yay! I wanted to buy a radio this year, something that did FM radio so I could listen to the Suns games. Hopefully it's hard to get an FM signal up here at night though. But I did buy one. This one happens to play CDs also, which you haven't seen that in a while. Nobody's using CDs anymore. A little boom box. I don't see the Bluetooth thing on there, so I think the one that was like $10 more did Bluetooth. But I already have a speaker for that. Little Bluetooth speaker, a nice one. I just wanted something for FM radio, so I bought this. I'm going to take this out of the box and put it together right now. See if maybe there's a Suns game tonight, I forget. Now, some of you kids will be in shock and not know what this is, but this here is a newspaper. Oops, I'll just show you the bin. I had the sports page out, but this is the Arizona Republic. We'd always bring one of these up the day we came up or whoever came up the next day to find out any news or sports or anything like that. But we also use this to help start the fire, of course. But they still actually make newspapers here in Arizona. This is the Arizona Republic. I got it for today, April 18th. But I got it so on the sports page, which is nice. I didn't know what radio channel the Phoenix Suns would be on. So I got a radio and it's 98.7 and I'm going to start listening to the game right now. But I don't want to have it on, you know, for YouTube and get in trouble. So we'll take a little break for a little while. Ooh. Well, that'll do it for day 1. It's 11:47 p.m. It's time to hit the hay, go to bed. It's 75 degrees out. It's kind of nice. It was a little warm there for a while, but got down to 75, so that'll make it nice. Fire's out outside. Just got a candle lit listening to Alice Cooper on 100.7 FM KSLX. He's playing some Beatles songs right now, and that'll end it for tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Thanks for watching. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. That'll do it for this episode of Mad Trippin'. Please tune in to the next episode on day 2 of our camp trip down here at Riverside Campground. Please click subscribe, hit that like button, be kind to one another, get up and go, and never stop tripping.